Sir, I wanted to read you something. This is from Chad Wolf op-ed. He is the former acting DHS secretary. There is no question this mass influx stems from a reversal of policies implemented by the previous Trump administration. Those policies on the southern border changes clearly signal that Team Biden is not serious about border security or enforcing present immigration laws. What do you make of that, sir?
I think that's absolutely true, that we have a crisis at the border because there was a change in administration. It sends a very clear message to people. First of all, you have a party with very prominent figures saying, not only are we going to open the border, we're going to get rid of ICE, we're not going to hold anybody in detention. If you show up at the border, we're going to let you in, you're going to get an asylum hearing in 5 years and be free in the country in between. And then you say, on top of that, by the way, if you show up with a child, you'll get even faster. I mean, people are going to respond to that. And look, this is not to demonize the people that are coming. They live in terrible conditions. Our heart goes out to them. But no country can sustain this. Not America, not any country in the world can just have anybody show up at the border and walk in. So this was entirely predictable, entirely foreseeable, and entirely created by the Biden administration.
There's some immigration legislation making its way from the House, making its way through Congress. I'm wondering if you have any sense of whether or not that has a chance of passing in the Senate, sir.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, look, my understanding of it is that it does two things. It deals with the Dreamers. They could have had a deal on the Dreamers. President Trump offered something very generous, and they turned it down because they didn't want it to just be the Dreamers. They wanted it to also be their parents, and they also wanted to create the opportunity for chain migration as a result of that. And on agriculture, I think you can't come to a deal on something like agriculture workers. You know, people that want to be here for a few months, work, go back, come back again next year if they're needed. The problem is they never limit it to that. They use those bills to add a bunch of other stuff. And I would also ask, in the middle of a pandemic and the need to regrow our economy, with all the other things happening around the world, whether that should be where it is in the order of priorities. It's probably a big priority for the left. I'm not sure it's a real priority for working Americans.
I'm wondering, are you concerned about the safety and the security of your constituents from this influx of illegal immigrants?
Well, I think the concern really begins with the men and women of the Border Patrol and all the other agencies that have to interact on a regular basis. You know, and again, look at the protocols in this Capitol building right now. I mean, my constituents, members of the American public, cannot come to the Capitol and have a very hard time coming to see their member of Congress in this building because we're trying to protect everyone here from COVID. But somehow people can come from another country into the United States and there's not the same concern. So there's a hypocrisy built into it. Like, I don't want to demonize these poor people that are coming. They're doing, you know, what desperate people do. But our job is to act in the best interest of our country. And in the middle of a pandemic, on top of everything else, to have a policy that is encouraging people to take that dangerous journey to illegally cross the border of the United States is wrong, it's reckless, it's irresponsible.
Sir, COVID-19, that package passed out of the Senate over your objections. Now the Biden administration is proposing tax increases on, they say, wealthy people. What do you make of this potential tax increase the Biden administration is proposing to pay for COVID relief and some other things?
Well, I think it's ironic, right? Because on the one hand, they're saying this is to stimulate the economy, but on the other hand, you're coming out of a pandemic where some businesses have made a lot of money. Okay, some big corporations have made big bucks on the pandemic. You know, Amazon's done great, these other guys have done great, but a lot of other businesses have not. And so here you're coming out of a pandemic, hoping to enter some period of recovery, maybe even hire some people back, and here comes a tax increase. Just talking about it, not even doing it, just talking about it is going to freeze people up. If you're making a decision right now, say, hey, we may get hit with a tax increase next year, maybe I'm not going to hire people right away. Maybe I'm not going to fully reopen right away. Let me wait and see what happens. So just the talk of it from the people in charge in the Democratic Party has a chilling effect on the willingness of people to take the risk, the leap of faith that the economy is going to get better and that it's time to start to get going on rehiring people.
Senator Marco Rubio, it's good to catch up with you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.